Hi guys, I'm Alice Green and welcome back to the Funky Evolution Party. So 2 years ago, I started trying to get this message out there. Food, fashion, humor, music are the four things that are going to unite us globally. Not anti-Semitism, not racism, not blowing people up, not running on prophecies of 3,000 years ago with no evidence today that this is the correct way forward, i.e. when you want to do a ground invasion and your city gets flooded, that is a clear indication that God is not on board with anything that is going on. We want to talk about being barbaric and being civil. Barbarism is blowing people up, is killing people, is murder, is not talking, is working on anger and aggression and revenge. Where being civil is about being the bigger person, realizing that things have not gone the way that they're supposed to, but let's talk about things. Let's take it to a courtroom. Let's discuss. The fact that certain people don't want to talk about what's happening means that they realize that what they're doing is wrong. Now, sadly, our entire governments are run by people who want to destroy society and communities. It's been really affecting me. When I close my eyes, I just see wasteland. I'm very sensitive in a big way, and watching how the support of mass genocide, regardless of who they are or where they come from, it's 2023. It's not, this poem I'm about to read to you, because I tried to escape, and every book I picked up, regardless of whether it said, oh, I'm a comic book. Yeah, right. Matilda, the liar who burnt to death because she kept crying, lies, lies. And then eventually nobody came to save her. Now, this is how it's going to work for all those leaders out there who do not respect their positions as global leaders, as people who are here to support people, not oppress them, destroy them, take away their freedoms, and then say it's all your fault. So this is a very long poem. I'm going to read it to you all. Please excuse that I am not the greatest reader. I was educated in Australia. I'm not English. I value where I live and I respect that. I'm never going to complain about my home again, knowing what's happened to so many women, so many children, and for what? A flag? Is that really the direction that society is heading? Because I can't pretend like this is okay. I can't sit in silence and watch world leaders' egos waste all taxpayers' money on blowing things up. What about rebuilding things? What about all the natural disasters and all the people that have been displaced? Have we not learned enough? Has the internet not opened our eyes to what's really going on in the world? Israel thought it could get away with it in 1993. Well, guess what? It's 2023. Stop living in the past. Stop calling yourselves modern when you're the ones forging a 3,000-year-old prophecy. The Christians moved on, and then you're calling the Muslims backward. They progressed even further and got Muhammad. So actually, if we're talking about regression in the Abrahamic religions, it's not Islam, and they're not trying to take over the world. They're not trying to murder everybody and turn them into an Islamic state. This is about Palestine, the land in Palestine, promised freedom that was then turned to a bloodbath of massacre and slavery and oppression that has been going on since, 1917, it's ongoing. The people in the originals, the Jewish people that live in Israel, do not want this genocide to take place. They used to live happily. What destroyed that? Freedom! While we oppress others. Okay, without any ado, I start my poem, and I will stop and explain my points through to you guys. This is going to be a bit of a long one, so please bear with me. It's by Percy Shelley, and it's called The Mask of Anarchy, written by the occasion of the massacre of Manchester, meaning history is just repeating itself. There's no prophecy, it's just a repetition of history. As I lay asleep in Italy, there came a voice from over the sea, and with great power it forth led me to walk in the visions of poesy. I met Mother on the way. I met Murder on the way. He had a mask like Castleruff, Very smooth he looked, yet grim. 7 bloodhounds followed him. All were fat and well were might be in admirable plight. For 1 by 1 and 2 by 2 he tossed them human hearts to chew, which from his wide cloak he drew. Next came Fraud, and he had on, like Eldon and emerald gone. His big tears, as he wept well, turned to milestones as they fell. And the little children who rounded his feet played to the fro, thinking every tear a gem, had their brains knocked out of them. What's been happening to all the children of the world? Clothed with the Bible as with light and the shadows of night, like Sidmouth next, hypocrisy on a crocodile rode by, and many more destructions played in the ghastly masquerade, all disguised even to the eyes, like bishops, lawyers, peers, or spies. Let's come, Anarchy. Last came Anarchy. He rode on a white horse splashed with blood. He was pale even to the lips, like death in the apocalypse. And he wore a kingly crown, and his gasped sculpture stone on his brow, and mark I saw, I am God and King and Law. Benjamin, does that sound familiar to you? You are not king. You are not God, and you are not law to just murder all these people. With a pace steady and fast, on English land he passed, trampling to a mere of blood to the adorning multitude. And mighty troop around, with their trampling shook the ground, waving each a bloody sword for the service of their Lord. And with gracious triumph they rode through England proud and gay, drunk in the intoxication of wine of desolation. O fields the town from sea to sea, past the pageant swift and free, tearing up and trampling down, till they came to London town. And each dweller, panic-stricken, felt his heart with terror sicken, hearing the tempestuous cry of the triumph of anarchy. For with pomp to meet him came, clothed in arms like blood and flame, the hired murderers who did sing, Thou art God and Law and King. Do you get that? With the pomp to meet he came, clothed in arms like blood and flame, the hired murderers who did sing, Thou art God, Law and King. We have waited weak and lone for the coming mighty one. Our purses are empty, our swords are cold. Give us glory and blood and gold. Does that sound familiar? Does this sound like the 3,000-year-old prophecy? We're bored of waiting. No messenger has come in 3,000 years. Let's just pretend. Seriously. Lawyers and priests, a motley crowd, to the earth their pale brows bowed, like a bad prayer not over loud, whispering, Thou art law and God. Then they cried with one accord, Thou art God, thou art King and God and Lord. Anarchy, to thee we bow by the name made hollow now. Who are we bowing to? Seriously, are we bowing to Anarchy, who calls themselves civil when they're like killing everyone? 2 atomic bombs later? So holy of you all. And Anarchy, the skeleton, bowed and grinned at one another, as well as if his education had cost 10 millions to the nation. Yeah, right? So who's sending all their taxes to where? And why are we paying for this lack of education? For he knew the places of our kings were rightly his, and the scripture crown and globe, and the golden interwoven robe. So he sent his slaves before to seize upon the bank and tower, and the proceeding with intent to meet his pensioned parliament. When one fled past a manic maid, and her name was Hope, she said, but she looked more like despair, and she cried out in the air, There is no hope, we are all in despair. My father time is weak and grey with waiting for a better day, so how idiot-like he stands, fumbling with his placed hands. He has had a child after child, and the dust of death is piled over everyone but me. Misery, oh misery. And this is how I feel. Is like every time I look around me, I just think, what is wrong with everybody? Why can't you see this? Why can't you see you're being robbed and that money is then being used to kill people? How can you accept this for yourselves? How can you wake up every morning, go to work, pay your taxes? I'm not hope. I am despair. This is crazy. Misery, oh misery. Then she lay down in the street right before the horse's feet, expecting with a patient eye, murder, fraud, and anarchy. When between her and her foes a mist, a light, an image rose, small at first and weak and frail, like the vapour of a veil. 'Tis a cloud grow on the blast, like tower-crowned giants striding fast, and glare and lightning as they fly, and the sparks and thunder to the sky. It grew a sharp arrayed in mail, brighter than the viper scale, and upborne on wings whose grain was the light of sunny rain. Oh, at helm, seen far away, a planet like the morning's lay, and those plumes in light rained through like a shower of crimson dew. With steeper soft and wind it passed, ere the hands of man so fast, that they knew the presence there and looked, but all was empty air. As flowers beneath May's footsteps waken, as stars from night's loose hair are shaken, as waves arise with loud winds call, through sprung ear the steep did fall, and the prostrate multitude looked and ankled deep in blood. Hope the maidens most serene was walking with a quiet mien. We are all ankle deep in blood. How much longer will this continue? This was a massacre in the 1700s, and we are still massacring people in 2023. How? How? Why haven't we seen that all human life is sacred, and that who am I to kill you or take away your home? Why don't you go out and work for what you got rather than steal somebody else's things? And anarchy, the ghastly birth, lay dead earth upon the earth. The horse of death, tameless as wind, fled, and with his hoofs did grind to dust the murderers thronged behind. A rushing light of clouds and splendour, a sense awakening and yet tender, was heard and felt, and at its close was the words of joy and fear arose. As if their own indulgent earth, which gave the sons of England birth, he felt their blood upon his brow and shuddered with a mother's throe. So much blood. For what? Flags? For money? They want to destroy us so they can turn us all into a one-world culture. It's not going to work. Why are we following psychopaths? Because they've got money? Money is worthless. Values are worth so much more. Peace, justice, integrity, human dignity. These are what we should be valuing. Not money, not bombs, not death, not supporting mass genocide. And anarchy, the ghastly birth, lay dead earth upon the earth. The horses of death, tameless as wind, fled, and with his hoofs did grind to dust the murderers thronged behind. A rushing light of clouds and splendour, a sense awakening and yet tender, was heard and felt, and as its close the words of joy and fear arose. As if their own indigenous earth, which gave the sons of England birth, he felt the blood upon his brow and shuddered with a mother's throe. He turned every drop of blood by which his face had been bedewed into an accent unwithstood, as if her heart had cried aloud. Men of England, heirs of glory, heroes of unwritten story, nurslings of one's mighty mother, hopes of her and one another. This is why there's such an attack on women. Rather than respecting women, why are we trying to erase them? Rise like lions after slumber in unquenchable number. Shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep have fallen on you. You are many, they are few. What is freedom? Ye call tell, that which slavery is too well, for its very name has grown to an echo of your own. 'Tis at work and have such pay as just keeps life from day to day. If your limbs as in a cell for the tyrants used to dwell. Slavery, hey, it's been written 1700s. Not changed. So that ye from them are made, loom and plough, the sword and spade, with or without your own will bend to their defence and nourishment. 'Tis to see your children weak and their mothers pine and peak. When the winter winds are bleak, they are dying whilst I speak. 4 weeks of bombing. People are dying as I speak, and you guys are just like, oh, well, it's fine. You know, what can we do about it? 'Tis to hunger for such diet as the rich man in his riot casts in the fat dogs and lie, sitting beneath his eye. 'Tis to let the ghost of gold take from toil and thousandfold more than e'er substance could in the tyrannies of old. Paper coin, the forgery of the title deeds which ye hold to something of the worth of the inheritance earth. You are not entitled. Everything has been forged. Even the blood that you spill does not entitle you to anything. 'Tis to be a slave in soul, and to hold no strong control over your own wills, but be all the others make of ye. And at length, when you complain with a murmur weak and vain, 'tis to see the tyranny's crew ride over your wives and you, blood in the grass like dew. One more time on this one. And at length, when you complain with the murmur weak and vain, 'tis to see the tyranny crew ride over your wives and you. Blood is the grass like dew. Let that sink in. This is our society, modern society. Then it is to feel revenge, fiercely thirsting to exchange blood for blood and wrong for wrong. Do not thus when you are strong. Birds find rest in narrow nests and weary of their winged quest. Beasts find fare in woodly lair when storm and snow are in the air. Asses, swine have litter spread and with fitting food are fed, and things have a home but one. Thou, O Englishman, has none. I should change that to Palestinian. Same story, different country. This is slavery, savage man, or wild beast within a den. Would endure not as ye do, but such ills they never knew. What art thou, freedom? Or could slaves answer from their living graves? This demand tyranny would flee like a dream's dim imagery. Thou art not an impostor, say, a shadow soon to pass away, a superstition in a name echoing from the caves of fame. For the labour thou art bred, and the comely table spread, for his daily labour come in a neat and happy home. Thou art clothes and fire and food for the trampled multitude. Trample the multitude, eh? And just get rid of everyone. Knowing countries that are free, such starvation cannot be, as in England now we see. To the rich thou art a check, when his foot is on the neck of his victim, thou stop make that he treads upon a snake. Thou art justice, nor for gold. May the righteous laws be sold, as laws are in England. Thou shields alike the high and the low. Thou art wisdom, freemen never dream that God will damn forever all who think those things untrue of which priests make such ado. Thou art peace, never by thee would blood and treasure waste be, as tyrants wasted them, when all leagued to quench thy flame in gall. What is English toil and blood, with poured forth even as a flood? Flooding in blood. In a veil, O liberty, to dim but not to extinguish thee. Thou art love, the rich have kissed thy feet, and like him following Christ, give their substance to the free, and through the rough world follow thee. O turn the wealth to arms, and make war for thy beloved's sake. O wealth and war and fraud, whence they do the power which is their prey. Science, poetry, and thought are the lamps that make the lot of the dwellers in a cot so serene they curse it not. Spirit, patience, gentleness, and that can adorn and bless, out that less deeds, not words express, thine exceeding loveliness. Poets are also our prophets. Everyone, oh, 3,000 years we haven't had a prophet. Oh, guess what? Prophets are everywhere. There's people telling us the messages and we are ignoring them. This was supposed to be a fluffy book. It is not. Let a great assembly be of the fearless and the free, of some spot of English ground, where the plains stretch wide around. Let the blue sky overhead the green earth on which ye tread. All there must eternal be, witness the solemnity. For the corners uttermost of the bounds of English coast, for every hut, village, and town, where those who lived and suffer moan, for others' misery or their own suffering. And those people daily living in tents, for what? For the workhouse and the prison and the paler corpse newly risen, women, children, young and old, groan for pain and weep for cold. From the haunts of daily life there is a waged and daily strife, with common wants and common cares, which sows the human heart with tears. Lastly, from the palaces, where the murmur of distress echoes and the distant sound of a wind alive round, those prison halls of wealth and fashion, where some few feel such compassion for those who groan and toil and wail, as must make their brethren pale, yet who suffer who woes untold, or to free or to behold your lost country, bought and sold with a price of blood and gold. Are we sold with blood and gold? Are we free or are we slaves? Do we support our mates regardless of what they're doing, or do we go, yo, mate, you've gone too far? This is not the way we do things. Let your strong and simple words, keen as wounds, as sharpened swords, and wide as targets, let them be, with the shade to cover ye. Let the tyrants pour around with a quick and startling sound, like the loosening of a sea, troops of armed embezzlery. Let the charged artillery drive till the dead air seems alive, with the clash of clanging wheels and the tramp of horses' heels. Let the fixed bayonet gleam with sharp desire to wet its bright point in English blood, looking keen as one for food. Let the horsemen scimitars wheel and flesh like fearless stars, thistling to eclipse their burning in a sea of death and mourning. You see why this is so dark? But this represents our current global leaders, the way the planet is being sold for blood. Stand ye calm and resolute, like a forest close and mute, with folded arms, and look which are weapons of unvanquished war, and let panic, who outspeeds the career of armed steeds, pass a disregarded shade through your phalanx undismayed. Let the laws of your own land, good or ill, between you stand, hand to hand and foot to foot, arbitrates of the dispute. The old laws of England, they whose revealed heads with age are grey, children of a wiser day, and whose solemn voice must be thine own echo, liberty. So, just so you all know, children know better than we do. They see that actually killing people is not okay. They don't hate people. They're taught to hate people. They're educated to hate people. We're not born to hate. We want liberty. On those who first should violate such sacred hurdles in their state, rest the blood that must ensue, and it will not rest on you. And if the tyrants dare, let them ride among you there, slash and stab and maim and hew what they like, and let them do. With folded arms and steady eyes, and little fear and less surprise, look upon them as they slay till their rage has died away. Then they will return in shame to the place from which they came, and the blood thus shed will speak in hot blushes on their cheek. Every woman in the land will point at them as they stand, and they will hardly dare to greet the acquaintance in the street. IDF, this is you, the Israel Defense Force. You will hold your head in shame as you walk through the streets, and the slaughter to the nation shall stem up like inspiration, eloquent, ocular, a volcano heard afar, and those words shall then become like oppression's thundered doom, ringing through each heart and brain. Hear again, again, rise like lions after slumber, in unquenchable number, shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep have fallen on you. You are many, they are few. That is it. We, the civilized people, are many. Those barbarians that want to blow up the world, use all your taxes to blow things up, they are few. We, the alien nation, alienated from our everything, our cultures, our environments, uprooted and expected to grow somewhere else. Guess what? That's not how it works. We, the common people, have the power, and we need to take it back, hold these people accountable, start pushing for the law to be implemented, because before there was laws, we walked in a sea of blood and bones. Now that there's laws, we still walk in a sea of blood and bones because they are not being upheld, or they're hard to get these guys because of their mates who keep cock blocking liberty. So I'm going to leave you there for my Funky Fridays. Please like, share, and get this message out there. Poetry is such a powerful way to transform and wake you up mentally so you can see, actually, I've been sleeping for far too long. It's time to go, stop the madness. So thank you very much. And yeah, share.